particular location, there are 4 different demolitions affecting thousands, more than 15,000 residents of the FCT in this location alone. You can see here children who their parents are directly affected. You can also see that there is a victim. One of the victims was shot. He's here. The media have captured. He has just been brought from the hospital. He was shot on the leg. Property worth millions of naira. Shops have been destroyed. After the demolition, the FCD and the FCTA administration, they not only did they demolish, they burned properties here. As you can see, the media can go around to verify for themselves. We have come to identify with the poor people who are affected. And we have also been briefed. We were briefed just yesterday. By all the affected residents that we should take up their matter in court on their behalf. So we have come not just to sympathize, but to assess the level of damage, that they have witnessed here, with the intention of approaching the courts. But before we do that next week, we are using this medium to appeal to the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to consider the plight of FCT residents who are barely just surviving. Their goal is just to survive. Many of the residents here are people who were driven away from Borno, from Adamawa, from Yobe. From Zamfara, they resigned because of insurgency and insecurity in the country. They live here, they work in the FCT, they are builders, they are painters, they are shoemakers. They are doing so much good work for the community. They are drivers, and there is no justification. They help the security agencies in the FCT to prevent crime in the FCT.
And that's what Deji Adinyoju, human rights lawyer, had to say. That they have been given the mandate to represent the people at the court, also calling on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to ensure that he intervene on their behalf. But then again, the task force also had something to say. Let's take a listen to them. We'll be right back.
Of the Honorable Minister FCT Barrister Nyesom Wike to ensure that the city center is rid of every form of nuisances and criminalities. And because of the concern of the FCT administration, there was a special task team that was established called Operation Sweep, headed by the Commissioner of Police FCT, CP Olatunji Disu. And we've been working from day one, which were during the inauguration, and this is day 9th that we are out here at Ruga. We have 4 sectors like we mentioned before now, and the 4 sectors are covering different parts of the FCT simultaneously. But presently, this sector is at Ruga village, where we have a lot of shanties and illegal structures on people's plots of land. And it has been established over time that these shanties harbors criminal elements and all those unauthorized people going into activities that are abominable to the law of the land. And that's why we are here this morning to ensure that we remove it. And you should see it's also close to the rail corridor. And we must always make the rail corridor safer for all those who are using the metro line. And that's why this is being removed this morning, because we've had incidences of vandalism of the rail track and the rest, and arrests have been made. But coming here to remove this unplanned settlement and shanties will also improve security of the rail track and the rail corridor.
Over time, we know that these operations have been ongoing, right? But is there some sort of, would the FCTA be taking some sort of step, another dimension to ensure that this doesn't repeat itself? Because when you destroy, they'll still come back and lay their foundation and all of that. So will you be taking maybe a more stringent step?
Yes, like I made mention of, the operation is a holistic operation that covers different activities. Like for this particular place where we are removing the illegal shanties and the structures. The Honourable Minister have categorically said it that all those who own plot of land should develop it or face revocation. And we believe, and most of them here have complained over time, that the reason why they've not been able to have access to their plot of land is because of these shanties and the criminal elements that are here. They've tried to take over their plot of land in time past and they've come under severe attack. But today the administration have come with this tax team to help them clear this place of those shanties. So we expect the owners of the plot of land here to immediately take over the plot of land and start development. Because if you allow, if you don't take over it, the illegal settlement.
All right, welcome back. And you heard Dr. Peter there speaking about what the Honorable Minister have said. But not just him. Let's take what the Honorable Minister himself said. That's as yesterday, Sunday, when he was also checking on some project and went through that place to also say, see, this is how we are going to do this work. And this won't back down for any reason. There is no justification for the demolition. We appeal that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu consider the plight of the people. This is still Deji Adeyonju speaking. But speaking when the Honorable Minister visited the demolished settlement late Sunday, the minister, who was accompanied by top security chief in the territory, said he was at the site to see things for himself, addressing the victims. The minister said there was no going back in the exercise, adding that the settlement had been identified as a security threat. He said no government will allow such illegal settlements to continue to exist with report of security threats, especially to the rail corridor. The Honorable Minister told the victim that there was no amount of blackmail or protest would stop the clearing of the exercise. Then he went on to say, however, I asked the spokesperson of the victims to bring 5 of their representatives to the FCTA secretariat to dialogue on what will be done for them. And earlier, the spokesperson of the victims, one Abba Garu, who told the minister that they had been living there for the past 35 years. He said about 10,000 people were affected by the exercise with this poverty and business, with their property, and business destroyed. And that's where we wrap it up to come back into the house for the elders on Townhall to join on this conversation. It's demolition, it's redress, it's people involved, it's properties and business involved. The place has also been marked as a security threat, according to the FCT minister and also Dr. Peter, who also, I think, led the control unit to that point. Yeah. Gentlemen in the studio this morning with one pretty lady, Somi. What do we?
Finally, my sister got a compliment.
What I go through. Okay.
What do we say about the Ruga community? Because again, Somi, this will not be the first, and definitely will not be the last. Because if you look at the structure of Abuja, I will say, in my own opinion, that almost the same mistake that was made in Lagos is the same that is happening in Abuja. If you go to Ikoyi in Lagos, there are still some shanty around Ikoyi, very, very close to Ikoyi. Remember, some months ago, there were some people at that Ikoyi under the bridge who were paying a rent of about 200,000 to live under the bridge. So some of those things, where do we start to look at redress? I mean, the Honorable Minister sees their protest and their redress as a level of blackmail. And he said, no, that won't be tolerated. That will not stop.
Because he particularly termed them illegal settlements.
Yes, and said there is security threat to the rail corridor.
Yes.
That's also to tell you the extent that they have gone. But this morning, let's start with Mazi Destiny Anthony. On what he thinks or his takes on this issue, minding the fact that also the minister have said 5 persons should come with the leader. Let's see if we can do anything.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Somi. Good morning, Abuja. Everybody knows I'm a strong supporter of Nyesom Wike, but on this issue, I think that sometimes when we want to execute some, even if is illegal, just like he said, but we should put a human face to this. You know the level of hardship in the country now. You know the level of poverty that we have. recently government increased minimum wage to 70,000 naira. I do not know who can afford a decent accommodation with 70,000 naira. You know that most of the drivers or cleaners or the people who work for you as house help, that is probably where many of them we live in, just trying to, manage life and survive. I just feel like the government sometimes, when they are doing the right thing, it shouldn't be done the wrong way. I'm not saying that people should go about, taking over land or living in places without approval. But since you already have people there, because whether you like it or not, there are small businesses that were destroyed. You understand? Because even though you call it shanty, you're still going to have somebody who will put up katako and have a small barbing salon there. You have the female salon there. You have so small business people who sell food. So some businesses have also been destroyed. And whether you also like it or not, is going to increase the crime rate, because if I'm barbing, now you've taken that out from me, many of them wouldn't have that energy to say, let's switch to another thing. Some of them will resort to crime. Some young ladies might resort to prostitution. I just feel like even if you want to do such thing with that kind of land and the number of people who are in that particular place, there is nothing wrong in like getting an empty land somewhere, probably inner, somewhere further, and then put up something like camp and then say, okay, we need this place for now. I know he mentioned this issue of the rail, this thing should be cleared. The rail corridor, thank you, sir. Then you can move to here. Let's, make this place secured and then clear the place. And then also try to educate them in security risks. You can't live close to rail. You can derail and then enter inside and then kill so many people. They should have moved them to somewhere else, because they're already there. I mean, it's a different thing if the land is empty, you want to prevent people from coming in. And then, why would they even have to pay? Because most of these lands that you see that are being allocated for estate, I just feel like some people out of greed just collect free land because I have somebody as minister, I can get 1 acre of land. Then you collect this land, you don't have any plan of developing it, you don't have fund to develop the estate. Now you let it lie fallow, hoping one day somebody is going to offer me 3 billion for something that I bought 200 million, and you collect. That's why you have so many of this land there. Real people who have money to develop, they don't see land to buy. They are the ones who suffer. So I thought that the FCT should have, made provision somewhere where you relocate them to. The reason why I'm saying that, the hands of our policemen and women are full already. This is going to, shoot up the crime rate. Anytime you have demolition like this that affects a large population, it increases the crime rate.
Okay.
So they should have been relocated somewhere, and then you go on and take your land. Nobody is saying that. But at the same time, yes, thankfully he said 5 people should come. Let's see, what we can do. I believe he will do something that he will listen to them. I also feel that they should also articulate their whatever they need before going there. So it's not like the 5 will go there. This one is saying allocate land to us. This one is singing another story.
Right.
Give us money for this thing. So
thank you, Mazi.
Let's hope that there is a solution. Thank you.
When we come back from the break, we'll keep up with the conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Audio.
Connection established.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
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 All right, welcome back. 10:30 Nigerian time. And we're back on this conversation. Mazi has spent a whooping sum of 3 minutes. We might as well share that with the elders also. Let's start with High Chief Elvis this morning on this matter. Hi, Chief.
Thank you very much, the billionaire.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Somi.
Morning.
Good morning, Abuja. Honestly, I think the basic reason why we always gather here every Monday is to point out issues where the government get it right, we applaud them, and where they get it wrong, we also condemn them. And I would like to start by saying that someone or some group of persons are less privileged is not a license to illegality. What are we talking about? Shanties in some parts of Abuja. All those shanties, the question I want to ask, Deji, my very good friend, has done a good job, but I also must advise him to select his battle. It's high time he selects his battle.
Why do you say that, sir?
Condemning the action of the government with regards to destruction of shanties that are along the rail line and causing nuisance to people who live within that vicinity is a no-no for me. On the other hand, as well, let us look at this issue critically. Critical in the sense that the land in question is owned by some group of persons who are expected to develop their plots. It might interest you to know that the people, the occupants of those shanties are 100% aware that the land does not belong to them. But how do they end up acquiring these properties? Or acquiring all those spaces? They go to one chief somewhere, pay some little token, and they are allocated a space to build whatever they want to build. With the hope that, don't worry, we know that some people own this property. But whenever, even in fact, we have lived here for 20 years and nobody has disturbed us. So you can just build whatever you want to build. Any day the government wakes up, fine, we can move out. I went to pick a tile from somewhere in Abuja. And when I got there, I couldn't even drive to where the guy lived. When the guy eventually came out, I was like, is this where you stay? He said, yes. How, the house, is it yours? He said, yes. How did you manage to get the land? He said, it was allocation from a chief. When the chiefs in FCT become ministers or minister of FCT that allocates plots of land to people, and he paid a little token, he was given a space, he built a 2-bedroom bungalow where he is living. I asked him, what if the government, he said, he has lived here for 7 years. Any day they wake up, at least he have saved the house rent for so number of years, that he will move out. FCT should be a first-class city. And I am of the opinion that setting up shanties, the issue of setting up shanties in FCT should be completely discouraged. However, I would employ the federal government under the supervision of the Minister of Housing to come up with plans, strategic plans of developing low-cost housing in partnership with banks, commercial banks in Nigeria. That is how it is done in other plans of the world. You partner with the banks can come up, build a 1-bedroom apartment or 2-bedroom apartment that can cost between 5 to 10 million naira. You call these people. When they make down payments of either 5 or 10%, the property is allocated to them. And every month, they are meant to be remitting either 50,000 or 60,000, as the case may be. When you're done paying it, in fact, just mortgage. When you're done paying it, paying maybe that 10 million or with some little fraction, the property becomes yours automatically. With that, and it will even help us curtail the issue of insecurity in this FCT and in the country at large. What do I mean by that? In a situation whereby you have a community where these so-called less privileged people reside, it gives government the opportunity to monitor the activities, the movement, what comes in and what goes out. You can even have policemen residing amongst them to checkmate illegality and crime amongst them. That is how it is done in other clans of the world.
Right.
But the issue of supporting setting up of shanties, as far as I'm concerned in FCT, those guys are serious security threat to any neighborhood where they are found.
Okay.
That is where you see criminals. That is where you see kidnappers. In fact, when you buy a new car, they get information of the new car you bought even before your neighbors. Anything that happens within your estate or environment, they are aware of it even before your neighbors. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, High Chief. Let's move to Right Honorable Dr. Usangforgod this morning on this conversation.
Yeah. Thank you so much, the billionaires,
Yes,
Somi and Nigerian for this privilege. I think that this matter is so sensitive that either way, you're going to step on stone. And there's a popular joke that goes around that you say the truth, you die. You lie, you die. But I would choose to say the truth and I will live. And I thank God for the premise that Dr. Elvis has, laid. I want to beg every one of us who have the privilege of speaking in public, to the public, or have platforms to which people listen, to resist the temptation of trying to justify crime, illegality on account of the economic situation, on account of what should have been done that is yet to be done. Sympathy to whoever lost his business, sympathy to those who are homeless. I'm not insensitive to the plight of people who have been displaced, but I'm a supporter, a strong supporter of the saying that you cannot put nothing on nothing. You can't put anything on nothing. The fact that things are not yet to be okay with every one of us, the fact that people are displaced from the northeast, from the northwest, or wherever, does not in any way justify that I or anyone should come to a place without due process, without approval, and set up something. Yes, I am not unaware of the Land Use Act. The Land Use Act assumes anybody who has spent 20 years in a place as the owner until contrary proof or superior proof. But in this case, have you been to that place, sir? I have been to this place.
The one along Lugbe.
Yes.
If you have not been there, it is easy for you to say, no, where does government want them to go, or government? I mean, I don't understand how government should reward someone or a people for doing the wrong thing. Now you have a piece of land, you are yet to develop that piece of land, and government gives you a time to develop it, or before then, someone is sitting on that piece of land. And we are saying that before government will move them out of that place, government should provide them alternative. So that is to say that if you do not have a job, go for illegal business, go do some illegal things, and for government to take action against you, or for government to arrest you, prosecute you, and punish you, government should provide you with a job. See, anyone who is a criminal, I am aware that yes, some crime can be caused, some situation can cause one to, or push someone to be tempted to commit crime. But I'm also of the school of thought that says that a criminal will be a criminal. Every one of us that is seated here have not had everything so rosy. How many times have you gone for illegality because there were challenges? Now, if government is here to provide low-cost houses for, the less privileged, which is a very good thing. I thank God for Elvis. He talked about the issue and also gave recommendation, perfect recommendation. Government should provide affordable housing for people at every level. But before then, sir, we cannot justify that location should have such structure. Now, we talked about the Land Use Act, 20 years. But government is coming from the grounds of insecurity. That gives government a strength, justification to do that. Yes, for everyone who is calling or who will say, oh, is this platform, this issue that has just happened now is very fertile for grandstanding. What do I mean? I mean that for whoever wants to, be popular, you can call the press and then you start to defend it. And I'm not surprised because for everything there's a motive. Everything has a motive, for the good or bad. For anyone to speak so strongly about in favor of that matter, that government should not have done that, I think behind that has a motive of grandstanding. Because it is very fertile, it's playing to the emotions of the people, you are playing to the sensitivity of the people, you are playing to the sympathy of the people, and it is easy in this time to take on government because government have much or yet to be done, and so every opportunity we say because of this, because of a light, because of that. Okay. I don't think it is a good way to go.
Okay, all right, thank you
Sahel,
so
I want
much.
to say something, please.
Mazi, okay.
Nobody is saying take what doesn't belong to you. It is the job of government everywhere to provide accommodation both for the rich and the poor. There is no ministry you go to today, you won't find drivers, you won't find cleaners. We are talking about a country where you're paying 70K. They just took it to 70,000. How much is a bag of rice? That was why I said, who can get a decent accommodation with 70,000 naira? It's okay to blame citizens for taking over land that is not theirs. The government that is supposed to provide cheaper accommodation, have they done it? You do low-cost housing, and you're talking of millions. How much can somebody who earns 70,000 save to pay off a house of 7 to 10 million naira, even in the next 15 years? I don't know if you understand. Let me finish. You understand what I'm saying now? How much can somebody who earns 70, a house that you say is low cost, and it's going to cost about 10 million, 15 million naira for a low-cost house, and I'm earning 70K. So all my life I can't finish paying, my children will continue paying. If you truly want every house must not be built with cement and block. Even abroad, that you mentioned, there are houses that are made with plywood, and they mustn't be expensive roofing sheet.
Okay. All right.
Understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I hear you, Mazi.
We know that there are people who need their services. That's why I mentioned this low income earners as well. That everybody needs their services. The people who clean your clothes, wash your car, do everything. They are humans as well. It is still the job of government to do something about where they are going to stay. If you don't do anything, they will take a. And nobody comes. That's why I said nobody should support them moving into those property because it's not their own.
So, Mazi.
Yes, sir.
I mean, what you have said, or even what Dr. Osang said and Elvis said, it still trickled down to one thing. And of course, there should be some level, like Dr. Elvis was saying, provide low-cost housing and all of that. But then again, how much are the low-cost housing? In partnership with who is doing the low-cost housing?
So before we get into all of that, let's provide a bit more context, because while listening to you all, the elders, we've used some very, very key words. Some of them, even people speaking representing the task force had used the words. The FCT minister had used the words illegal, criminal, and all of that. And those are very, very strong words
security
threats to make cases for whatever it is that they want to do. But let's get a little bit more context. Now, we also heard Dr. Peter, who was representing the task force, leading the task force, say that this is what is happening in Lugbe is going to be spread across every other Ruga settlement across the FCT.
Like I said.
So let's get context on that. Now, some of them...
Somi, before you go further,
yes.
I mean, this Ruga community that we are saying are not just settlement of people.
That's the context that I want to provide.
They are not just let me take us
they are not
to
just
one place
settlements
where
of
Usangforgod and Dr. Elvis will remember very well. There's a particular place called Nikon Junction. There's a settlement there called Gishiri. You know Gishiri?
Yes.
That's another place this is going to visit.
They've started.
When Dr. Elvis mentioned about the Tyler he went to pick, I don't remember Gishiri. So in Gishiri's own, is even very, very funny. Let me tell you one story about that Gishiri own. The land has so spread, people have stayed on it, built on it, until this was in 2012 or 13. One man came and went to FCDA. They gave him a surveyor with his paper. You know those times when people used to buy paper?
Yeah.
You've not seen the land, you just buy the paper. Then they'll not attach you with a surveyor from FCDA to go and
trace the place.
They went to trace the land, Somi. Church, mosque, market,
everything.
school on the land.
On the land.
Yeah, I say, where is the land? The surveyor said, this is the land. They show him from the GPS reports. The TTB, they were showing him. He can see the land. And then he tried to make a move. And the people in the community resisted the move.
So, again, let's provide some context. We got reports, at least for this Lugbe one, that a lot of the people there were people that came in from other parts of the north and north, yes, as a result of insecurity. There are people, according to this report that I'm seeing here, because this matter has been on for a while, as of July, Premium Times went to do a special report. There are people who have been on the land before the Land Use Act was enacted in Nigeria. So we need to take a holistic approach when we're looking at all the people that are here, so that you don't just tag all of them under one umbrella.
Because most of them are even indigenous.
Exactly. So if you look at the one in the Katampe area, there's a lady there who was saying that her parents were raised in the community long before the head of state, Murtala Mohammed, Army General, proclaimed Abuja as Nigeria's federal capital on the 3rd of February 1976. And then also, she was also raised in that community. So some of these communities, according to this report, are as old as 80 years old, over 50 years old, over 30 years old.
The Land Use Act is going to cause us a big trouble in this conversation. Let me now refresh your mind. When it comes to the Nigerian Constitution, what does the Constitution say about land? Every land in the country is owned by God. And in the custodian of those land is owned by the federal government of Nigeria.
Does that of the federal capital territory differ in any way from what we have across other states? Because that is another case. Because that is another case that was made. That's another case that was made.
also complain that they don't even have much right. Like when we mentioned the Ruga, you remember when the Ruga issue came up? They had there was limitation in terms of getting land in states.
Yes,
so
according to the land use act.
Yes.
The lands in the states are controlled. The land in the states are controlled by the state government. Yes. The state government has
custody.
100% authority over the lands in over the land in the states. However, in the federal government, in the
Federal
FCT,
Capital Territory,
Federal Capital
exactly.
Territory, the FCT minister has custodian of the land in FCT,
He's a landlord.
which he holds in trust for the president.
Yes.
Now, let's buttress this issue a bit.
Yes.
With regards to those who are original aborigines or the indigenous of the land in question, under El Rufai, that was how Apo resettlement came about. The indigenes were compensated. Apo resettlement was built
With
for
land.
them. With land.
Not money.
No.
With
They
houses.
built
Let's be
houses for
clear.
them
Let's be
and
clear about
relocated
that.
them.
Yes.
However, let us not get this whole thing mixed up. I said this earlier. We should not in any way encourage illegality. That somebody moved or migrated from Borno, Adamawa, Imo,
For whatever
or
reason.
Cross River State to Abuja without prior plans on where to settle, without prior information or plans on how to get accommodation, is a no-no for me.
Yeah, but we can also agree that might be the case in this Lugbe community, but that might not be the case across all the Ruga settlements where this approach that was taken in Lugbe is going to be taken.
Somi?
So can there be a case by case approach to this?
In Gwarimpa, where is this place they say building material in town?
Jabi.
You still have settlements that are like, so why do we still have them there? All these places. I think that the government recognizes the fact that there are indigenes that you can't just push them aside. Even them, the federal government, who also
Like Dakibu.
do you understand me? And you have them scattered everywhere. Whether Kubwa, whether in Bagolada, whether there are, you can't throw them away.
But Mazi, hold on, sir.
The settlement my brother Elvis mentioned doesn't settle all of them.
No, but
You understand?
again, Mazi, while I agree with you in parts, I also disagree in some points.
Yes, sir.
Because when you look at what we are saying in context of it, what were the reasons given? Illegal settlements, one,
yeah.
pose a security threat,
Threat,
which means, and when government begins to mention security threat, there's always one thing involved.
Yeah.
It means that the government cannot account adequately for the people who are there.
In that place, yeah.
And they can't confidently say, if anything happen here, we can hold this and XY to respond at any time.
And so what are we saying here? Are we saying that there should be a one-size approach to all the Ruga settlements? Because you can, I promise you, if we told this line of the reason that has been given, however, that might be the case in Lugbe, you heard the task force leader say they are going to do it across the FCT. If we told that line, and it's like there is a general agreement for that to be, that high-handedness. Let's listen again. That high-handedness, right? How did you say it, sir? No matter, even if you want to do something right, it should not be done the wrong way, right? So we're looking at a case where everything can happen, right, in such a way that the FCT minister is able to do his work, while at the same time consideration is given to those that consideration needs to be given to. Again, they are trying to prevent criminality, but you do not cause criminality by trying to prevent criminality. So that's what I'm saying. Are we advocating? Are we advocating that a one-size approach?
We're mixing it up.
Okay.
The truth is, every area, even right from people like Erufai's time, there are peculiarities to those areas and also those situations.
Yes.
It is left for the federal government, led by Mr. Wike, who is standing in for Mr. President, to look at the peculiarity of each area for resettlement. Remember, there is a place called Peggy in Kuje. I remember when, was it Life Camp or Woodside, there was a demolition there, and they relocated them to that place. So there is peculiarity for all of this. But this one in question is our focus today. If the government decide by Dr. Peter that they will spread this across. Then we will now be asking the government, what modalities are you using for this one?
Yeah.
The modalities you use for Lugbe is illegality and security
And criminality.
For
Even
example,
blocking the corridor of the train.
if you say you are going to Dakibu to do the same thing, what exactly is the modality of that one in Dakibu? If you now say it is illegality and rail corridor, we now say, excuse me, sir, how did you come
Can I
across
say something?
this?
That's all.
Let me say something, please. There is one key word the government has pointed out with regards to this settlement,
Okay.
and that is illegal settlers. What is the procedure for land allocation in the FCT? People who are residing there, where the land was the land allocated to them
Legally.
and officially? If the answer is no, I believe the FCT minister just said, from what you read out to us, that he has told them to bring 5 persons to interface with. Probably in the course of the interface with the FCT minister, they will be able to identify those who are
Legal.
the aborigines.
Yes.
The aborigines, the natural owners of that land. When you're able to identify them, you make provisions for them. I don't think the FCT minister owes any illegal occupants in those shanties any apologies. That will be encouraging illegality. That will be encouraging criminality, just like Dr. Usangforgod pointed out. You cannot say because so person is less privileged and he committed a crime,
You say
therefore,
leave him.
You say forgive him.
All right,
Yeah.
let's go for a quick break. And when we come back, we'll take only calls from 11 to 11:15. Stay with us.
It's so good to win in the Cowbell So Creamy So Good promo with 150 million naira worth of cash and loads of free airtime up for grabs.
This is Nigeria Info.